Multiplying decimals. All right, so we talked about adding and subtracting, and in that case, you have to line up the decimals. But in this case, we do not have to line up the decimals. You can, but there's not really much point in doing it. It just adds a little more work, and you'll get the same answer either way, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and just show you. We're just going to multiply normally. I don't need to line them up, so I'm just going to write them so we got numbers at least lined up over top of each other, but it doesn't have to be the same place values as each other. And then just do normal multiplication. So 9 times 5, 2, 9. And then place value, and then this could be all zeros, and then double. And then times 1 is pretty easy. 5, 2, 3. Add it up like you normally do. And we get our number. All right, so here's the only tricky part that you have to remember is we didn't line up our decimals, right? So that doesn't mean it's coming straight down. And that's one reason why I kind of like you not to line up your decimals, because sometimes when people do it, they think just bring it straight down. The way you know how many decimal places to go is how many numbers were after the decimal up here, okay? So how many numbers after decimal problem has to equal numbers after decimal in the answer. Okay, so we have 3 like we said. So that means down here you start from the right. I'm going to slide over 3 spaces, and that's where my number goes, or my decimal goes, okay? Remember we said about estimating to make sure your answer makes sense? If I were to round this, I have 3 and 11. 3 times 11 is 33. 35 is very close, right? If I put my decimal point in any of the wrong spots, if I just brought it straight down, I'd have 354. If I went too far the other way, I'd have 3.5 something. So this is very close to 33, and a reason why you want to double check really quickly, because this didn't take me long at all to get, to be able to know that this answer is correct, okay? So what to remember to do? Don't line up decimals, right? Don't have to line up the decimals. You can, like I said, you can. It's just don't forget that you're not bringing the decimal straight down, okay? Instead, you have to match up how many numbers are after the decimal in the problem to the answer, okay? So don't have to line up the decimals. What you do have to do is this, okay? So let's practice one. So go ahead and pause it. Try this one on your own, and I also want you to do the estimation check at the end. All right, so you've already done this problem, so let's check how you did. Remember, multiplication doesn't matter what order you do it in. So usually I put the number that has more digits on top. If you did it the other way, that's fine. You should get the exact same answer as me either way, okay? The only reason I do it this way is because then it's one less row that I have to go through as I'm multiplying. See, I only have to do 2 rows. If I did it the other way, it would be 3 rows of number. Not a big deal, but a little bit of a time saver. All right, so once you get your number, remember you have to count 1, 2, 3 in the problem. So 1, 2, 3 in the answer. Okay, so my answer is 7.344. Let's make sure that's reasonable. I'd round that to 7, round that to 1. 7 times 1 is 7. Very close to 7.344. So my answer is reasonable. Okay. All right, same thing. Go ahead and pause it, try it out, and then hit play to see if you got it correct. All right, so let's do this one. They're the same number of numbers. So it doesn't really matter which is on top and which is on the bottom. So let's do that. Change my color. So multiply out, 8, 9, 10. Placeholder 0, 5. It's now 1. Add up, pretty easy adding. And this one, I only had one number after the decimal, so I only had to slide it over once. So my answer is actually just 85, right? The 0.0 doesn't matter. You could leave the 0.0 in your answer, but you don't really need it. So I'm going to check my work. Obviously, this is 25 times. It's 3. It's going to be a little low, right? Because we're rounding that down a fair bit. But 25 times 3 is 75. Very close to 85. 85 makes sense because I did round that 3.4 down a lot to 3. okay? So my check shows me that I am right, okay? As long as you're reasonably close, you're correct, okay? All right, next one. All right, so let's practice with the word problem. Obviously, this whole unit is on multiplying decimals, so you might have an idea of what we're supposed to be doing, but let's read through it and notice the keywords that tell us we're multiplying, okay? Jessica's buying 5.25 pounds of beef, okay? Remember, this pounds is weight, not money. If the beef cost $4.13 per pound, so every pound is $4.13, how much will she pay in all, okay? A lot of times that per means we're multiplying 413 times the number of pounds, right? 413 times pounds, and there's our pounds up there, okay? Because if she bought just 1 pound, it would be 413. If she bought 2 pounds, you would double it, right? You get 826. But she bought 5.25 pounds. So we're gonna have to do the multiplication out to figure out how much is this gonna cost her. So go ahead and do this out. Got some long multiplication here. Add it all up. All right, so there's our number. Now we gotta figure out where's the decimal point going. Remember, it does not come straight down. And if you did bring it straight down, hopefully you'd realize $2,000 for some beef is a lot of money, okay? So, think about, is my answer reasonable? I've got 4 numbers after the decimal point in the problem, so that means I need to slide it over 4 places in the answer. All right, so that's the answer to the multiplication problem. But what's the answer to my question? It's saying how much will she pay in all? Well, when was the last time you paid $21 and then 6,825 cents, or however you want to say that, right? There's not 4 places after the decimal when you're talking about money. There's only 2, okay? So I want to stop here, but just like in our rounding unit, you want to look at the number before it and see, do I need to round up or down, okay? That 2 means I don't need to round it up. So my final answer, I'm just going to write as $21.68 is how much she had to pay for her beef, okay? Remember just to estimate to make sure you're right. If I'm going to estimate, my numbers were $4 times 5 pounds should be roughly 20, which is very close to my answer, which means I am most likely correct. Okay, so that's how we're going to do the word problems. Think about it's a little different because this final answer for the multiplication problem wasn't our final answer for the word problem. So remember our strategy of checking and making sure we're answering the question it's asking. All right, so go ahead and you're gonna do this one on your own. Pause it, and when you are done, then go ahead and hit play so you can see how you did. All right, Tom is baking bread. He needs 1.25 pounds of flour for each loaf, okay? How much flour does he need if he's baking 8 loaves? Okay, so we're looking for a total. You could obviously add up a pound 25 8 times, but each is another word that means multiplying. So I'm going to multiply it out to figure out how many loaves I need, or sorry, how many pounds of flour I need. So pound 25 for each loaf. I'm doing 8 loaves. Multiply it out. Then this one, that was a lot easier multiplication than the last one. I have 2 decimal places. Slide it over twice. And it looks like I need 10 pounds of flour. Okay. If I'm going to do my estimation, I would round 1.25 to 1 times 8. So it should be around 8, but it makes sense it was a little bit more for 10 since I rounded that 125 down to 1. Okay, so my real answer is a little higher than 8, which makes sense. So that's multiplying.